All right. Hello, everyone. Asaf here, Seth. How are you doing there in New Jersey?
Asaf, one day you're going to push the wrong button and they're going to see us dancing during that song and we're going to get embarrassed. We're doing good. Good, doing very good over here. Thank you.
Yeah,
Lots changing.
yeah,
Lots
yeah.
changing.
Things are changing. Things are changing here in Israel too, all over the world. It is. It seems like the world is trying, wanting, aiming, aspiring to go back to bring everything back to normal, to go back to a world that is working. What is a world that is working? Let's tackle this. But before that, just mention that we're already seeing some of our viewers tuning in on both Facebook and YouTube. Hello, everybody. Yes, do tell us where you're watching from. It's always a surprise. It's always great to see a lot of people connected from so many different places. And yeah, Seth, I thought that today we will start with with a new routine, with a new tradition here on the quarantine. Uh, Unmute yourself. So, yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I will tell you about it. So let's start with you know, the quote of the day. There is so much insights and wisdom that we get from the authentic wisdom of Kabbalah, which is what we base the entire show on, and really, the whole worldview, seeing where we're actually headed. So let's start, you know, bringing some of those bits or gems of wisdom into our show. So here's a quote. Here is a quote. Okay, I'm gonna put it on the screen so that everyone can see it.
And
Um,
this quote's from our teacher, Rob Lightman.
yes, this is from Kabbalist
Okay.
Dr. Michael Lightman, and let's read it. Let's read it. I'm gonna make sure you see it as well. So yeah. So here it is.
Just
It
okay, good.
it seems like the world is going back to what it was. It's not. This crisis is the breakage of the egoistic world, which we've built up throughout human history. We're going to see this foundation breaking in a short time. World leaders will learn that they cannot manage anything. Banks may collapse, but let's hope nature will do this gradually so that humanity will gradually digest the education that Kabbalists have to provide, and then things will occur more pleasantly. The world is going to change, a new world will be born. Humanity will recognize that we are integrated, that we have to think of everyone, otherwise nothing will work for us. We will learn that we belong to a single society, a single system, a single humanity. And like you said, this is from Kabbalist Dr. Michael Lightman, our teacher. So, yeah.
Asaf, the problems and then the solutions feel so big, right? Like we have to realize that everybody is one humanity and nature won't allow us to go back to the old world, and we can only go out into the new world if we're not going to exploit each other. And if we're going to exploit each other more, it just all seems, the problem seems so big and the solution seems ridiculously impossible and utopian and some big and so big, until you realize, until a person realizes that we are in partnership with nature. Like,
Mm.
you have an earthquake and a tsunami comes and the wave is like, 40 feet tall, or one lightning bolt could power New York City for a week, or, coronavirus comes to Earth in 155 countries or however many, everybody goes home
Yeah.
indoors. So we have to remember, look at a sperm compared to Albert Einstein. Like the seed that Albert Einstein came from to Albert Einstein. It's like if
All
you
right.
looked at this, you would think that is impossible, or Michael Jordan, whoever, some great somebody that a person thinks is great. You'd
Or
say it's impossible that
Seth
this thing is
Brightman.
going to. No. It's impossible that this thing is going to grow to be that thing. It's impossible. And what if I'm going to
Hmm.
feed it applesauce? I'm going to give it chicken on Tuesday nights and meatloaf on Thursdays,
Hmm.
and give him a birthday party every year, and he's going to sell like, and it's going to grow to be that. It's impossible. But if we remember that we're in partnership here, that nature has an intelligence, that nature is leading this thing, and what we're doing is riding the wave, participating with the process that nature is already doing. That's all the Kabbalah. The Kabbalist isn't inventing anything. He's not
Hmm.
prophesizing about anything.
Yeah.
He's explaining to us what is happening in nature, and our opportunity here is to go along with it like a good kid, and it can be pleasant
And enjoy the
and
process.
an adventure. Yeah, the
Yeah.
greatest drama, the greatest. You saw a show on Broadway you liked, or you saw some dramatic show on
Right.
Netflix. The greatest drama is going
Let's
to be
talk
our
about the
life.
drama. Let's talk about the drama, because also in this quote we read, the crisis that we're entering, that we've entered, whether we see it or not, understand it or not, is not going to go away. We've started this drama, like you said, which is what? It's really the breakage of the egoistic world that we've grown into, born into, and that was existent for thousands of years and that evolved throughout human history. Now it is changing. It has to change. And so it's interesting, the word crisis. This is something a lot of people know, I think, in it has different meanings in different languages that are interesting. It means opportunity as well. In Hebrew, actually, mashber, the word crisis, actually means the place of birth. In ancient times,
Place
this
of
used to be,
birth.
yeah,
That's what you
yeah.
said.
This would be the place where women would give birth, mashber, like that in ancient times. And
Hmm.
so that is really interesting. It's a crisis on the one hand, meaning it's an ending, a completion of one phase of development, but a completely new phase now opens up before us. And that's what we got to start hearing from nature. It's also interesting what you mentioned about how Kabbalists look at reality. It's not like they're prophesizing or theorizing, they simply have a deep understanding and feeling of the law of nature, the integral law of nature, the law that governs human development. And from that point of view, they can see, here's a baby, or here's a sperm. It develops in a womb. It develops for 9 months. Now it has to go out. So similarly, like doctors, like physicians, even, the Kabbalists are basically saying, look, the world has evolved to a point where it has to be born. We're not even born yet. you know.
There's another step also after the child is born. Um, the child doesn't, baby, we know for sure he doesn't even know that other people exist. And then he starts to play, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
he knows his mom exists and whatever, right? So first he
Yeah.
doesn't even know he's in a world with anyone else. And let's look at
Yeah.
this kind of in parallel to us in
Yeah,
the world. I go out.
my wife calls it coming out of the shell. It's interesting. I have a 2 month old right now, baby at home, so we're seeing this process, in parallel to what's happening to the world. I'm seeing this new
Mm,
baby like
right, your
developing,
baby was
and
basically born like at the
into the
first day of
Corona
coronavirus,
era.
basically.
Yeah, yeah, it's a totally a Corona
Wow.
baby, and it's interesting, like you say, there is a phase where, the baby starts realizing there is a world that it's interacting with, that it's like opening up as if coming out of its shell, kind of thing. That's what my wife says.
So when I think we lived our lives really not coming out of the shell yet, it's like I got up in the morning. It's like I need my coffee. Okay, I'm going to work. Okay, I need that parking spot. Okay, I'm at my desk. Okay, it's time for my lunch. It's like we went through life.
Yeah.
I'm preparing for my vacation, and it was like we were like that baby, kind of going through life without an awareness of the existence of anyone else. And then comes a point where, as a child is growing, that becomes aware there's other people. And then there's another interesting phase where the child gets almost like like shame a little bit. Like if he takes something he knows he's not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to take, all of a sudden he has this awareness that there's
Becoming
others.
human. That's unique to humans. This whole shame thing. Yeah.
So all of these kind of processes were we're all as humanity going through the same kind of processes that we can learn. This is the model, when we said, not for the third time already, the Kabbalist isn't like, predicting the future or something. He's looking at a process. The same spiritual process is that template is here for us to see. Like you said, giving birth is called Christ. Like it's the next um,
The next
stage of development,
phase,
so to
yeah.
speak. So all of these inner processes, all these processes that a child goes through, and probably everybody here, either has children or can understand these examples. We can see these when we look at humanity, that humanity is like this baby that's being born. And also, to put another Kabbalistic concept on top of it, when the baby is being born, it gets the best of what the father has goes into it, and then the best of what the mother has, and then the baby is in this nurturing environment where every need is met and he doesn't have any worries. And even after he comes out, or she comes out, has no worries at all and is nurtured from the cream of the mud. Like everything is just perfect. And then boom, you get a little older and it's like, all right, good luck,
Yeah.
go, you go out into the world and it's
Go
like,
to
go fend for
life.
yourself. And
Yeah.
yeah. So we're at a point where simultaneously, we have to be born. We also have to start to kind of all of these things. It's like a circle, and we keep
It's
passing all of these stages.
in the womb there are two opposite forces, two contradicting forces that work on the embryo, developing it. And one you can call a rejecting force, and one is an attracting force. And they're constantly like creating that situation where there's growth, but on the other hand, the baby becomes too big to stay in the womb, and it already has to go out. There's an element. Birth is a certain kind of crisis. It's a certain kind of an evolutionary leap that's happening. It's a jump. It's a quantum leap to a whole new reality all of a sudden within moments. And it's interesting. Think about humanity. We can also see these two opposite trends that are at work. We see how for thousands of years, on the one hand, the growth of humanity was characterized by the growth of the human ego. We've moved from being very primitive creatures, instinctively connected to each other, connected to our environment, subdued by the laws of nature, living in caves and growing our
When it
crops.
rained, we had to move. When there was no
Exactly.
crops, we had to move. Yeah.
Yeah, we were totally dependent on nature, and also very, very, not very individually evolved. We were very connected to each other, primitively connected to each other, instinctively connected to each other. And as time went by, thousands of years went by, and what has happened is that the human being has grown to this new egoistic, individualistic creature that can seemingly take the reins and control nature. And we have our air conditioners, and we get our food from plastic packaged foods in the supermarket, and we have all this control, all this free reign over our own world, and we're also very much focused on our own benefit, on our doing good to ourselves. And then that's one force, and on the other hand, you have this contradictory force, this opposite trend that's also been growing, especially in the last century, of interdependence. It is undeniable, especially now with this coronavirus putting it in front of our face, when a bat in Wuhan or whatever it came from, suddenly influences the whole world. You realize how we've become completely and totally dependent on each other. And so on the one hand, we have this huge, these egos. It's like 8 billion egos clashing into each other. On the other hand, there's nowhere to run anymore. We've covered the planet, we've connected, we've created a network of connections through economy and trade and commerce and politics and the internet and whatnot. And we're in this stressful situation that only birth can emerge from here. Only the birth of a new world.
So
is now
we can't go
required.
populate Mars or something and try again.
It's funny, the
No, I hear I know. I hear
trend.
people saying they
Yeah,
want to, that there's this plans for
let's
these
go
other
to
planets.
Mars.
Like, guys, don't you realize you're going to just completely ruin every other planet? Stop. Let's do a global check-in for a second,
Yeah.
and then I got a question for you from Samuel has a question, but first we also have David Mancini from Canada, and then we also want to invite our guest because I think he's got a lot to say.
We
So let's start with
also
our
have a guest. We also have a
we have a
guest
guest.
today.
Let's
Yeah.
start with our global check. So far, thank you, Bright, for sending this. We have Algeria, Ethiopia,
Okay.
Los Angeles,
Yeah.
Ireland,
Ooh.
New York City, Romania, Brazil, Utah, South Africa,
Keep it coming.
Israel,
Yeah.
Quebec, Canada, Colorado, London, Toronto, Miami, and Ghana. Wow, everybody. It's
Wow.
unbelievable. What a global connection. It's so beautiful.
Beautiful.
Um, okay, so let me ask you.
The seeds of the new world can be planted here, guys. Don't be mistaken. This is exactly what we're doing.
Okay, so David Mancini on YouTube, on the Kabbalah.info YouTube channel, has a question, and I just want to, before we ask the question, let's, for anybody who's new here, when the Kabbalists use the word creator, okay, all of this kind of language that we think of is, kind of religious language, we have to clean ourselves of this. There's a
Mm-hmm.
force that is the bestowing force. There's the force that enlivens all of reality, makes your heart beat, the heart inside the heart, whatever that force is that bestows all of the energy, all of the life to everything and more. That's called the creator. If you really want to understand what's going on inside the wisdom of Kabbalah, right, maybe you could put a link to the courses, but David uses the word creator. So I just wanted to get that out of the way so that we don't think that there's, we don't get stuck on any kind
Yeah.
of religious, fairy tale picture we have in our mind. So David asks, can I connect my mind to the creator, to this force of nature, to whatever this guiding operating force is? Can I connect my
Mm-hmm.
mind to the creator so that I can make the reality that I want?
You want me to answer?
Yes, please.
All right. Well, hey, David. Good to see you. First of all, yeah. So if we take into account that the creator, that term, like Seth said, is the governing force of nature, that quality that lies in the depths of nature before there's even matter, and it gives life to everything, and its quality is that quality of giving life. We call it in Kabbalah the quality of bestowal. The creator, nature, the quality of bestowal are all synonymous in the wisdom of Kabbalah. So can I connect my mind to the quality of bestowal? Yes. And your heart. That's what we're working on. To make the reality that you want, ooh, sorry to kill the romance, David. There is a reality that's already planned and prepared. And that reality is not something that we can influence or change. There's all kinds of new agey fairy tales about make your own reality, make your own dreams, live your own life, or something like that. Well, from the perspective of the wisdom of Kabbalah, that's not something that's realistic. However,
You
what
make it
what
you make it sound like
no
there's
no I
something to be
want to
disappointed about.
I want to
Okay.
offer something better.
So you're building the drama by saying there's no drama. Okay, fine. I'm going to sit back and be quiet.
You can go to the fact that you can't create your own reality is the best, David, because what you can connect your mind to by connecting your mind and heart to the creator, to that governing force of nature, is the sublime purpose for which all of this reality was created. And that purpose is very simple. Technically, it's called equivalence of form with the creator. What it means is that we rise to a level of existence beyond time, space, motion, all limitations that you can possibly think of, because all our limitations come from our distance from the creator, from our oppositeness. We live inside this narrow-sided, limited shell we call the human ego. Once we come out of it and begin to connect with the creator, we connect with the unconditional, infinite, timeless, boundless quality of love and bestowal. And there's nothing more that you and I and the rest of the world want. You know how I know that? Because the creator created that desire within us to begin with. We are designed to want to achieve that quality, that higher state of existence. And then you will have the reality you want. But they're not the reality that you might imagine to yourself right now. It's the reality that the Creator has envisioned for you. So it's worthwhile to start learning what is it that the law of nature wants from us and begin to adapt our desire, our mind.
Asaf, I just have to say, I'm trying to peel away any kind of I hate authority, first of all. So when you're saying, oh, you can't have what you want, and I understand what it is, but when you say you can't have what you want, you're not. It sounds like you're doing like
Let
this.
Me flip that. Let me flip that.
Please do, because I know what you mean, but I want to make sure that this gets through to the...
Right. When we say I want to have what I want. Who's I? Who's the I that wants? Who's that authority?
That's the essence of the question there, right?
Where's that
what is the
authority
I
come
that's
from? Yeah.
Right. What is the I that's wanting something? Is the I that's wanting something just this this small ego that wants $1 million and a nice house, or is it something that's way beyond that, where all of a sudden I can have some kind of endless fulfillment on something that's not just about filling my belly or something like that? I know what you're saying, and I just wanted to make sure that the viewers didn't get stuck on your very strict authoritative
Yeah. Do we want to take another question or move to our guest?
Let's try and incorporate the questions in once our guest gets here, because I think he's going to bring all kind of incredible insight.
All right. So let's bring in our wonderful guest for today. You guys can keep sending questions, and we will do our best to answer them together with our guest, perhaps. So we have Dr. Alex or Sasha Angelov, and he'll be with us in just a second. And he is a great friend, but also a medical expert. And we want to talk to him a little bit about, what is this virus from really a deep understanding of nature and what nature wants from us. So what does this virus want from us? Hello, Dr. Angelov. How are you?
Good. Thank you. And I can tell you that it's not medical problem. The coronavirus is not the medical problem. Sorry.
He's busy and he shoots straight to the point right away. Doesn't have a moment, not a moment to wait. Right. Go ahead.
Oh my goodness, people. I'm kind of at work right now, so I'm on call all the time. It's a telemedicine. It's a good time. Mm-hmm. So where you can stay at home, cozy, everything is good, but at the same time provide care for people in this crisis. But what I wanted to say that it's not really medical problem. It's the social problem, because the virus there cannot live on its own. Virus is the parasite, right? So if you take virus, which is what? RNA in a capsule, and you leave it outside of the human being, the virus will die.
It dies, right.
So the only way virus can live is when we get it from one to another. Right. So basically, we can give this virus from one to another if we don't think about each other, if we ignore each other, if we don't treat each other in the right way. So it became very obvious now that if we would be Sweden, it's like normal country. They don't have quarantine. They live their life, but they respect each other. They listen to the government. They don't have police taking people apart. They have places where they can go and shop and eat and stuff like that, but they have their distance and they have their understanding that I can be the source for the progression of this virus. So I don't want to get this virus to someone else. I can probably, my immune system is good, so I'll be good. But somebody who is compromised can die from my neglect. So, and people start to implement it. And people start to treat each other differently.
So you're saying that the virus is immediately in the way that it's designed, in the way that it lives, it's forcing us to rethink, recreate, reestablish the connections between people.
Only and nothing else. We think that the virus control us.
Mm-hmm.
It's opposite. We can control this virus.
Ooh.
With our good relationship, with our understanding and giving space to each other. You know, as sometimes you have people who go in your face and start talking and
Yeah.
spitting at you at the same time, and you try to get away from this person and this person in your face again.
Right.
And you're playing this game. But
Doc,
another
there's different.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Okay, there's different levels to it. So there's the one level which is more of like a biological or an internal level, right? And then you're talking about a social level. So far we've only discussed the social level, means that if I understand that what comes out of the spit that comes out of my mouth or whatever can infect you, so I'm going to keep a distance. And you're saying that there's certain countries where people respect each other enough that they don't need police to separate them, and they keep their social distancing, and they can go about their lives and go to work and do all these things, right?
Absolutely.
That's the degree we're talking about. Yet I've also heard you discuss there's more internal degrees to what's happening as well, where the virus wouldn't want to affect us. So I just wanted to lay that out, so that this we're talking about right now, just by respecting other people, we immediately can start to normally live a little more.
But at the same time, it's on the biological level also. We don't know yet how this virus spread. Why? How come Italy is hit so much, and the country next to the to Italy is okay? How come Germany have the least amount of death? Because people start to understand who is the carrier, and you protect yourself as a carrier to meet with the other people who are vulnerable. So it's all comes together, and we till this time we don't have any treatment, and we have all these testings that very questionable today. And so we have to kick in. We don't have to rely only on the science and medicine to handle this virus. We have to put in our effort to understand how can we treat each other differently and get this virus under control.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is, and that's a beautiful insight, that this virus, starting from a very basic kind of biological level, it's pushing us to improve and respect and consider one another in a new way, to care, essentially, to increase our sensitivity to how much we care about the well-being of each other. And
yeah, it's absolutely right.
So you see it as a trigger to like a catalyst for improving human relations.
Yes, because people now, it's very interesting. We have the time before coronavirus, during coronavirus, and after coronavirus. It's like my son, who is 5, he's talking to his friend on the phone, and he said, when the era of coronavirus time, you can see this coronavirus doesn't affect only lungs of the people, doesn't affect only the immune system of the people.
What do you mean?
Because if you take the way how we pay for medical services, they call it fee for service, and you stimulate physicians to get more money by doing certain things. So I'll give you an example. If a person died in a hospital, right, and you didn't claim that person died from coronavirus, you have like $4,000 less. You claim that it's coronavirus. So it's like profiting. So you push people to do things that don't really exist really well. Not moving at all, watching news, all upset about everything. And a month ago, he got to the hospital at the same time, right, that he had a problem with the breathing and everything. They did the test half an hour before he dies from chronic heart failure, and claimed that he died from coronavirus. So with the statistics, we also have all kind of confusion. But at the same time, we have to think positively. We have to think ahead. How can we live after this coronavirus will leave us?
Doc, there's a question from Christine on Facebook. She's saying, she's asking Dr. Angelov, are you saying that the space between us has some kind of property that shapes and forms how the virus affects us or not?
Yes, very much so. It's kind of it's a litmus paper for us. If our relationships are good and well, so we can be closer to each other. If our relationships are toxic, if our relationships is very egoistic, I want to get everything that you have, and I want to leave off you, that's bad. So that's why we have to be separated. As more we get to the point that we love our neighbors and ourselves, when we support each other, our distance will be less and less. Remember how everything started, right? The first thing they said at the gathering, more than 5,000 people are prohibited. Then they decided 5,000 is too much, 200. Then it was 100. Then 10 people.
Yeah.
Then stay home, right? And I think that getting out of this quarantine has to be the same way. The nature is looking at us and asking, guys, are you ready to to be closer to each other? If you're really ready, then we have to turn the knob and we can let you be together.
So we have to almost change the program by which we connect with each other. So because the old program was toxic, you called it toxic, and now we have to create a new program for human relationships, one in which we care for each other, and looking at nature as a single system. You say this way we'll be in balance, we won't be transmitting viruses to each other.
Yes, absolutely. And it's also like nature is watching us, watching our actions, and saying that, okay, so you make some steps, and it's not appropriate steps into making your relationships better. So that is why what we need to do, I need to separate you. So I'll give you more disease, I'll give you more death. You're ready to go forward, help your neighbor, instead of saying that, okay, how can I benefit from you?
The same way that the president or the politicians go on the news every day, and it's nature. It's not like it's some unique kind of thing that's disconnected from everything else, and somehow it just comes in here and does something, and then if we can just kill it and get rid of it, we can just go back. But that this whole thing, like, hello everybody, good morning world, I am nature, I'm here to tell you that the way that you've been destroying the ocean and exploiting everybody. So now I've decided, you spent too much on your credit card. It's time to pay. And so now what's going to happen is everybody's going to stop. I'm going to forgive a lot. Everyone's going to go home, relax. And slowly we're going to remove from all businesses and other things that are built on just exploiting people, go back to just the necessities. I'll allow the necessities to be open. And now, Doc, because we know you as a long time student of the wisdom of Kabbalah, I want to ask you then, we see the virus, it's not some extra kind of thing that somehow happened by accident or something, but this is all a process. So as a Kabbalist and also as a medical doctor who treats real patients, who's on call right now, whose phone is ringing right now, who's doing teledoc, all normal real life things with a wife and kids and real person who's also studying the wisdom of Kabbalah. Can you talk to us about what it means to go forward into the future from this? What does it mean to be healthy? How can we exist in a good, connected, strong, loving way? What does that world look like for us?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have to think from the perspective of the planet, from the perspective of the nature. Nature gives us great habitat that we destroy. Look at the animals. They will never destroy their habitat. Mm-hmm. They will do everything to be in harmony with the forest, with the place where they live. And the natural cannot harm the nature. And we people, we're the same parasites like the virus. So the nature is showing us, okay, you want to see how you live your life? I'll show you with the example of the parasite that will live in you. How do you like it? That you wake up in the morning and you cannot breathe. Do you feel good? The same way I feel from you. You
So
pollute everything.
it's like my mother's nature is saying, you are the virus. Hey, humans.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a good analogy. Look what is going on right now when the people are remote from their way to waste everything, and then all of a sudden the nature start to breathe. It's the latest gig in the United States is that people have problems with the meat. We don't have enough of meat. So, and how it happened, it's like chain reaction in a casino in Las Vegas and all these cruise ships and stuff like that. We dump tons and tons of food. Where this food goes? To the pig farms. And the pig farms now to be closed one after another because we don't have enough of products for pigs, right? So now we have less meat, and people say, "Oh my God, we have less meat." You don't need to eat so much. So, and the planet is saying that, listen, because you propelled everything, and these poor animals, with your cruel way to treat these animals, is I cannot tolerate it anymore. And then instead of having one cow, you have like 3,000 cows, and they poop. And where this poop goes, it goes right back to me, to my ocean. It goes to my earth, and it's toxic. Stop this. And okay, I'll give you a virus.
Like Mohammed is asking on YouTube, is the virus a result of years of feeding an I, meaning like my ego, I think he's saying, that is not aligned with nature until that I became like a monster? It actually sounds like.
Yes, it's very interesting to watch how we progress, right? We start with a family, like in cage, no, what? The cave age.
Caveman, yeah.
Yeah, caveman. It's a family. We understand that we cannot survive if I am alone. I need somebody in a cave to have the fire and do things, and I'll be going with the mammals, and then I cannot kill the mammals. So we understand that in the family, in the gathering, in the community, we can survive much better than we survive alone. And little by little, we get our ego up to the point that I have to be on the top of the pyramid. It really doesn't matter to me how smart I am, how physically able I am to do that, but I want to be a president of this country. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to have the most money in the world. And we compete for that. Okay, we have insurance company, health insurance company. We have like 75 different insurance company. Let them compete. Let them do whatever they have to do to provide better care. And they now have the problems between Democrats and Republicans. And Democrats are saying, no, one payer system. We have to have one payer system and try to push this agenda. And the Republican is saying, no, we'll kill industry, we'll kill everything. Here they come virus and saying, guys, listen, I'll give you 50% of unemployment rate, and these people will go and be part of the government insurance. How about that? And then little insurances that unscrupulously taking advantage of the people, giving co-payments, giving deductible, giving all this little small print. So you do pay for your insurance, but you will not be able to use your insurance. And now everything is so simple with the virus. No competition there. Majority of the insurances, medical insurances, will go down. We'll have probably two monsters in the United States who will still alive, United and Blue Cross Blue Shield, and that's it. And the rest of the little insurance company will go away peacefully, nicely. and we all of a sudden realize in this coronavirus very interesting phenomenon. People stop to be sick. People afraid so much.
They stop being sick?
Yeah, they don't call anymore with the little things. Like, I have a back pain. I had probably 10 calls with the back pain every single day before. Let me see this. Let me see orthopedic surgeon. Let me see the MRI or anything like that. Now they stay home. I have back pain. What do I have? Nothing. I cannot go to emergency room because I don't want to get a coronavirus and die. I cannot go to the urgent care because I can contract coronavirus there. The physical therapy is closed. The acupuncturists are closed. The chiropractors are closed. What do I have? I have to start to stay healthy. That's all. That's interesting phenomenon. And hopefully after the coronavirus, everybody will be healthy here. It's not a bad thing.
It's interesting. I remember I heard, I was reading up on some evolutionary biology and saw some examples of how millions of years ago, bacteria would fight each other and, and consume each other. And at some point, they understood that in order to be more resilient, healthier, and have a better life, so to speak, and be like biologically more sustainable, it actually pays off to feed your enemy rather than fight your enemy, to divide, to share responsibilities rather than try to compete, and so on. Would you say that this is something like what we're experiencing now?
Yeah, absolutely. We have this science they call microbiome. What is microbiome? We have two theories. One theory is the Pasteur. He said that we have sterile body, and anything that comes to our body from outside gives us disease. So we have to stay away from inventing our body by different entities. And that's
Hold on,
good.
let's just make that. Let's just be clear about that. So the body is this box, and it's a sterile box. And if something bad comes in, first of all, we need to keep the bad things out, and if something bad comes in, we need to eliminate.
Yeah.
That's
so
the
basically, basically it works in certain instances, and the theory about that. So you stay isolated, and then you will not have any viruses. You will not have anything. Of course, you will not have anything. But at the same time, microbiome is saying that we have everything in our body. We have bacteria, viruses, fungus, parasites. We have everything. And if our body is not working properly, if our relationships are not proper, then these bacteria change their relationships, their connections. So these bacteria and viruses and everything else have interconnection. And it really doesn't matter that you have like 3 trillion bugs and I have 2 trillion bugs. It really doesn't matter. It's our connections. And more than that, that's fabulous. Remember this bubble boy? When the boy was in the big bubble because he didn't have the immune system, so he has to stay away from people and stuff like that. We have the same bubble of the microbiome that extend around us. So it's basically you think that go somewhere and you communicate with a person. Our microbiomes communicate between each other. So
there's a field. So are you talking about? I've seen this image. So when we talk about spirituality, we're not talking about something that we could actually draw because it's not physical. But I've seen what you're talking about with like energy between people, and then you're also saying that it's a physiological thing as well. That between us, it's not just when I kiss you, we're exchanging things, but just by being close to you, we're already exchanging biological information and viruses and
absolutely. You experience that when you go to the place where you have a lot of people producing love, producing good connections, producing happiness, producing willingness to exchange in the right way, you feel uplifted, you feel good, you feel great. At the
Definitely, you can
same
even feel, you
talking,
can feel it in the air, like at a
you
concert
can
or something
feel it.
like
It's
that. You feel
tangible.
something in the air, right? Oh, so this is okay. So hold on, let's grab that for a second. When you go into a concert or you go into an event like that, you feel, even as you're approaching the arena, you start to feel the excitement, and then you get inside, and before the first note plays, you feel the energy in the air. So that's what we want life to be like. We want to go out, we want to leave the quarantine and feel that every person is caring about me, and I'm caring about everyone. And then we wake up in the morning and wow, we feel that there's this love in the air.
Yes, and you start to see these little blips of that happening. Like yesterday, I was walking with my son along the beach, and one person gets around a little, sprouts of cucumbers and tomatoes because season almost started. They don't sell it; they grow and give to people. So now instead of garage sale, it's just please take. I don't need this anymore. Take it, whoever needs it. So we start to be different. Like I talked to my patient who is like very materialistic, 50 years old woman, and she said that all of a sudden I feel so happy in this quarantine. I work from home. I have a lot of time. My place is beautiful now because I have time to clean it and do everything. And the most of the thing that bothers me right now, I'm waiting for this coronavirus will be out because the stores will be opened, and that's the best thing that I'm waiting for because I purchased before coronavirus like purse and other things that I have. I spent a lot of money on my jewelry and everything else. And now I'm sitting at home. The only thing that I'm changing is pajamas. And I have nothing to show in my home. Who cares about Versace anymore? No one. So I'm waiting all this money to go back to these people who produce unnecessary thing and think of how can I spend this money on health, on relationships, on being better as a part of the society. Phenomenal.
Wow, Doc, we
There's
have a bunch of questions.
yeah,
Asaf, I think we can,
there's also
let's kind of
something
switch
cool
switch a
that
little bit to some of these questions. Yeah.
there's also something cool that Corin just wrote as we were talking about, going out into a world where you feel cared for and all that. So Corin writes that to see a smile on another's face, to feel their vitality and vibe, and to know that you were a part of that is a great pleasure for us parents and humans. Um, yeah, so we got a few questions here. Maybe, so Doctor, stick around with us and put on your Kabbalah hat as well. And let's answer some questions together here. What do you say about that? Before that, let's just do another global check here. We have people, in addition to all the people we've had before, we also have people from Cameroon, from Florida, from Bulgaria, and from Washington. So we have a question here from Samuel Lima. I think that's an interesting one. So check this out. He's asking, is the virus nature's way of correcting us, or is it a form of bestowal to save us from ourselves? Who wants to start?
So I think that the end of the question is the answer to the question, basically. So the anything that we have in our life, we shouldn't treat as bad. It's very difficult to us, to my ego, to me. It's very difficult to stay isolated. It's very difficult not to have my fruits and vegetables every morning. It's very difficult for me that I am not traveling anymore. And it's very difficult for me, but who am I? I am the part of the global. And if I think about global, I think about how much better life will be in the future. Like my brother was complaining that I want my life back. I want travel again. I want this. I want that. And I said, listen. So before you we have coronavirus and you travel, how much did you like traveling in an airplane? Oh my God, I hated it. I hated it because we are like a little fish in a bucket of uh, this metal tube, and no respect. We don't have interactions and everything else. I said, what about that? After coronavirus, by rules of distancing, we can have only business class in an airplane, right? So imagine we will have first class, don't get me wrong, we'll have first class, but we'll have business class everywhere. And the airline who has economic class, people will stop buying tickets there. So now who is the daddy there? Who is paying? Who is doing all this changing? And finally, maybe people start to treat each other and understanding that if I'm doing in my business something good for others, I will have my customers. And if I continue to treat them like I treated before, because they are in a heart in the rock place, they have no choice. I buy a bottle of water for 10 cents in Costco. And then when I
Sell
go
it for
to,
$5. Yeah.
right. So why? They take my rights away because they won't benefit from me. Imagine that when I go through this security, somebody will put the fresh water to me and give it to me and say, please come to airport. We want to serve you. We want to make your travel
Right.
pleasurable.
Instead of every experience we had in the pre-coronavirus world was about how much can I exploit every person to the greatest extent without either shaming myself, or some people didn't even care
And
about
that's the
shaming themselves,
game, and that's just the
or getting
game also. You're
that.
not like, you're not doing anything bad by doing that. You're playing the game that everyone's playing.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
going out, I'm making a business, and as long as nobody thinks that I'm a crook, or as long as nobody catches me, like you were talking about with the insurance before, or as long as, like, I'm in an airport, and what am I going to do? FDA says you can't have water. So listen, I have to charge you $5 or $8 for a bottle of water. I mean, what else are you going to do? And there's not a lot of room on the plane. So actually we can't even serve you snacks anymore, but it's expensive. So we can charge you if you want to, so it's like every single place we went turned into a way to just extract more and more and more out of everyone constantly until we were all just choking. I mean, just completely choking. The normal that we left there was nothing normal about it. We normalized being greedy. We normalized racism. Every terrible thing became somehow normal. So it's interesting, and I saw actually so many people sent me this video over the weekend. Somebody made a beautiful video of this dad reading a story to his girl about the coronavirus, his
Oh, I
daughter.
saw
Maybe you
that
guys saw
one.
it.
Yeah, nice
Really,
one.
really beautiful.
Mhm.
The Kabbalists don't look at the virus as something. They look at it like a remedy, like you're saying, Doc. It's like, because we're not talking about some random thing that came into some pure environment. We're talking about an integral whole system where everything is connected and interdependent. The whole world is not only connected, but everybody is interdependent. And if it's like in a bathtub. If you put something heavy in over here, the water's going to rise over here. That's all that's happening. Right? It has to be a perfect whole system. There's enough for everyone. There's enough food price, and ruin the air and ruin the water and fill up these cruise ships and just dump it into the water. And then it's like putting something into the bathtub over here, and it's going to rise over there. It's a closed system. Asaf, we have another question.
Yeah, maybe just to wrap up in one sentence the answer to Samuel. Yeah, the virus is nature's way of correcting us, and if we were corrected, we'd see that all of nature's influences on us come from that quality of bestowal. Because we're opposite to it, it seems to us in a bitter or harsh or difficult way, but that only is because of our lack of correction, our oppositeness to it. So yeah, I saw another question here that there's a couple here. Maybe Samson from Ethiopia is asking this. Hey Samson, great to have you with us here. If nature treat everything for the good, what will be expected from people to have the right connection?
Oh, people will feel safe, because if I understand that I treat people around me like I treat my child, how I would treat my parents, if we start to treat each other like that, so then we have total security. Nobody will stick knife in your back, and you understand that. So you will be more productive. Like the medicine that we was before coronavirus, we had a lot of resistance. We had a lot of parts that contradict each other. You know, if you think about the beginning of everything, you had the person who knows how to heal, and you have person who needs this healing. And what happened between them? One help another, and another maybe rub the back of the physician, or clean the house, or do something very little. But not anymore. We have so many entities between these two parties. We have insurance company, we have government, we have bureaucrats, we have pharmaceutical company, we have everything. And so every step, patient has to fight against the system. Physician has to fight against the system. And the system is there to protect our good relationships. So the system has to drop. The system has to go away. And we have to understand that instead of spending time on resisting each other, we'll have much more progressive way to heal when we are helping each other. And that's what we have to find out after this coronavirus.
So Christine
Beautiful.
says,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. Christine asks, what are the practical changes we can make today? And this is, we're at the end of our show, but this is just it, that when we all treat each other as friends, when we all, and of course everybody, you know, you're going to go outside with some person who's, you know, who's your enemy. You can't start with just every single person right away, but slowly from one circle to the next circle. And also we have to remember, like the biome that the doctor was talking about, that, you know, what we do creates this effect. Like when you walk into the concert, so some person who may wake up in a bad mood, when he feels what's the change that's happening in the air, that person can also change. But what we do is just this. You have the healer on one side and the patient on the other side, and a mess of egos and everybody trying to take their profit in between those two forces, right? And what we want to do is figure out how those two things work together. And that's basically begins with our relationships towards each other. Listen to each other, respect each other. Start to just simple things. We'll get into all the spiritual stuff. You can sign up for the courses and everything, but just the first thing that we need to do is just start to create a new kind of air between us, a new kind of air in the world of that we're friends. We're all together as friends.
Yeah. I want to, first of all, just mention to all our viewers that if you have more questions that you want answered, you want to go deeper into the wisdom of Kabbalah and really study it and understand it and develop your own, you know, your own insights based on this wonderful wisdom. Bright will put a link to a free course that you can all check out in the chat. So definitely go check it out. And I want to add something maybe to conclude here. Let's do like a wrap up. So, you know, when we ask about, to continue on Christine's question, what is the practical thing we need to change today? And also what Samson was asking, you know, what is expected from people to make that right connection? All we need to do, this is something that only the wisdom of Kabbalah can explain to us. All we need to do is work on our desire for that better state. That's it. That's what our evolution is all about. What is evolving is nature doesn't expect us to just suddenly magically love everyone. That's unrealistic. It goes against our innate nature of the human ego. But we do have this inkling, this little point, this tiny desire that tells ourselves, maybe there could be a better world. Maybe we could fruit out somehow a new connected human being that can emerge from us. That's what nature needs from us. Only that touch, that desire, that aspiration. And as we begin to educate ourselves through conversations like these, and through creating an environment that makes us appreciate that next future connected state, our desire begins to change. Nature responds to that. And that's the only thing that needs to happen. So, Doc, final words.
To bring it full circle, that's like the baby. That's like the baby that looks at its to come full circle.
There you go. Doc, final words to our viewers.
Stay healthy, stay connected, create love around you, and spread the new virus of love around you to the world, and that will fight with the coronavirus.
Ooh. Powerful. Thank you, everyone, for being with us.
Beautiful. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Bright, for being behind the scenes. Thank you. So enjoy the song.
Lots of love, everyone.